Welcome to Good Money Guide. Today we're joined by Matt Brief. He's the head of UK at IG. Now, IG is one of the longest standing brokers and trading platforms in the UK. They've got a global footprint now. They cover everything from CFDs, spread betting and investment products. And more recently, they've had a push into the options market. So we're going to have a chat with Matt, find out a little bit more about what options IG has, who they try to offer them for, and find out a little bit more about Matt and how he likes to trade and invest, and hopefully get some tips and tricks for would-be option traders. So Matt, thank you very much. Thank you very much for joining us. Pleasure to have you here.
Yep, don't know about tips, but Richard, thanks for having me, and it's great to be here, but I'll try my best on the tips part.
You're absolutely right. Tips and tricks. We probably shouldn't say tips because obviously nothing we say is financial advice. Always seek independent advice from a professional. Of course, this is opinion and chat. So please, everybody bear that in mind. So how are things going at IG at the moment?
Yeah, they're great. We're really busy. We're focused completely on delivering more products for our clients, and that's one of the reasons I'm here talking to you today. Is that we've recently launched a new options product. So yeah, very happy to chat about it.
So you've had options for a while. You've always been able to trade options well, not always, but for a while now, you've been able to trade options on the platform, mainly in the major indices and some big US stocks. You've expanded that universe. So do you just want to tell us briefly?
Yeah, sure. I'll try and give you a little bit of a history and maybe bring it up to date. So I've been at IG over 20 years. And when I joined in, I think it was February 2001, we had already offered options, and we've offered them to the day, largely as a spread bet and a CFD. So kind of the OTC offering across, as you mentioned, mainly focused on indices and commodities. And we offered that OTC style as a kind of tax-free spread bet wrap-up. That's been particularly popular and grown very strongly actually over the last 20 years. What we've done recently, we had an acquisition, as I'm sure you know, of Tasty a few years ago. They're a non-exchange options broker, and we bought them primarily to get a bit more of a footprint in the US. But what we realized pretty quickly, and we knew at the time, is they have a phenomenal options product. It's on exchange, it's low commission, it focuses exclusively on US products that are becoming increasingly popular. And where they really go big and where they're winning in the US, and we're hoping we can leverage that in the UK, is all around education and education on options. So it's really been our pleasure to kind of introduce the brand to our UK customers over the last couple of years. And when you open an IG account now, you can trade tax-free spread bet options like you always could do, but you also have the option of going to the Tasty platform through your IG UK account and trading on exchange options. Focused on US products, as I said, but then also really engaging and having exposure to an enormous amount of educational content about, whether you're a beginner and you want to learn a bit, or whether you're, you're an intermediate and you want to get an expert, or if you're an expert and you want to, learn more. And that's really Tasty's USP. And we're really proud and delighted, post the acquisition, to be able to bring their proposition to the UK market.
Okay, I mean they've grown stratospherically, of course, because of their social media presence on YouTube. I've seen a couple of videos. I'm not quite sure how they have the energy to do it, but I suppose options can become quite obsessive, particularly in America.
They are absolutely obsessed with options. I think that's the right word. I ran the options desk in IG for quite a few years, going back a bit. So I didn't think I had that much to learn on options, but it turned out I had lots to. They kind of take the educational angle to the next level. And when you look at their proposition, and when you come to IG and open an account, and you go down look at the Tasty platform, you really can see very quickly why they've been so successful in the US. They're very engaging, they're obsessed with options, and they're obsessed with educating people, and they're obsessed with strategies and making sure that you understand the risk and that you trade small and that you're profitable in your strategies and your trading. So it's been, like I said, very proud for us to be able to introduce that to UK clients over the last few months.
Okay, and let's just have a look at where IG's option offering has been and where it's going. So traditionally, it's just been the top 10 traded products. Where have you traditionally seen flow within the options trading at IG, and where is it going post this TastyTrade acquisition?
Yeah, sure. I mean, traditionally, it will be on the major indices. So kind of in my time, I'd probably say traditionally that's kind of Dow, DAX, FTSE, but certainly obviously in the last few years, it's got a bit more tech specific. So lots more on the indices, and obviously oil was topical, is topical, probably will always be topical. So loads of exposure on the oil. IG has always kind of prided itself on 24/5 markets. So we had lots of interest in people trading our tax-free spread bet options product round the clock, which was really interesting. And like I said, there's kind of also that tax element of it. We went into the equity option space with the spread bet and the CFD quite recently, and that's quite popular. We offer quite a limited amount of US options via the CFD and the spread bet on the traditional IG platform, but that's been very popular and that's available online. What Tasty has allowed us to do, because it's kind of leveraging the on-exchange markets in the US, is completely open up that universe of markets. And the most significant change there has been, going from a handful of US equities that we offered on kind of the tax-free spread betting side to, pretty much every listed equity that's available in the US. So it's probably more on in terms of asset class, it's probably more on the equity option side that it's really just opened opportunities to, being an IG client in the UK in terms of us bringing on the Tasty proposition. But yeah, I mean, the two at a high level, the two sit really well side by side. We're always going to have clients that come to us and want to, put it into a tax-free wrapper. But absolutely, we're seeing lots of demand for people who want to trade on exchange listed options. And yeah, we feel now that we've got Tasty in our offering, we feel like we've got the best options product in the UK market.
So that's for stocks and shares, the DMA options.
The Tasty stuff, I think the game changer there has been that they offer an enormous array of US equity options, but they offer absolutely everything: the commodities, the indices, the options on the futures, the options on the indices, the options on equities. They offer if it's exchange traded in the US, pretty much you'll be able to trade it through the Tasty platform if you're an IG client.
So how do you open an account? Because I went so if I want to trade on TastyTrade DMA US options, I had a look onto it. I just went to TastyTrade, tried to open an account. It said, no, you're in the UK. You're not allowed to. Fair enough. How would you trade on the TastyTrade platform from the UK?
Good and fundamental question. So we've brought the Tasty proposition to the UK market via the IG account. So all you've got to do is go to IG.com or download the IG app, open an IG account. As you open an account, you'll see that you have quite a few options. You can spread bet, you can do CFDs, you can do ISIS, you can do smart portfolios, you can do cash equities, but you can also do listed options. So one of the account types that you be offered when you open an IG account is listed options. You can choose that, you can choose everything, it's completely up to you. And obviously if you do choose listed options, when you go into our platform, then you'll have the ability to use the Tasty platform. And like I said, then have access to all the array of markets that they offer, and just as importantly, have access to all their educational content that is second to none.
Okay, great. Well, after we get off this call, I'm going to have a look at that because I've got my IG account. I've had it. I think even when I was on my gap year, I was trading with IG all those years ago. So I'll have a punt. You spoke a lot about education and TastyTrade, and there's a big push for education, as there should be in all high risk products. Options are really popular in the US because trading equities on a leverage basis, they don't have spread betting, they don't have CFDs, so it's quite popular. It's how they have a punt or how they hedge a portfolio. In the UK, I've been an option broker myself. It's quite a complex product to trade. Why do you think the UK hasn't fully embraced options trading? And do you think the education that the sort of US side of things bring, do you think that transfers over to the UK?
Yeah, I think it's a really interesting question. I think the complexity side has absolutely been a barrier, and you're right to say that it's the core product in the US, because a lot of the other ways that people get it around the globe is not available in the US. I think what I'll say is, yes, it is complex, and that's where the educational, or it can be complex. That's where the educational piece comes in. And I'll repeat myself a few times on this call, but you've really got to see it, I think, to believe how good their educational content is, and how engaging it is and how much you learn. Like I said, I think everyone within the IG business in the UK has really learned a lot talking and listening to our Tasty colleagues over the last few years. In terms of its future in the UK, I'm very optimistic. We're getting lots of our long-standing clients who have, like you, have spread bet and have used our investment products for years and years at IG, and they've been asking for a listed options product. They've been asking for more exposure to the US market for a long time, and since we've launched this a couple of months ago, the feedback has been great, and we're very happy with where it's going. I think at a very high level, you can't trade volatility on these traditional spread bet products, on these traditional CFD products. You can't trade volatility in a traditional investment account. Having a view on volatility and be able to speculate and being able to profit from your view of how volatile the market's going to be in the next day, the next week, and the next month, and the next year is really interesting. And I'm sure we'll come on a little bit and talk about the US election, but lots of people will have views on how volatile the market will be if certain things happen or if certain things don't happen. And sometimes people have stronger views on how volatile the market is going to be than whether the market's going to go up or down. Now, that's quite a significant amount of people. I think what Tasty do really well is they join the two things up. I think we have lots of people who have an interest in volatility and they try and take advantage of that, or they try and express themselves by doing a directional trade, when actually if they put the time into the educational content of Tasty, they can actually realize if they've got a view on volatility, they're normally or can be more suitable to trade an option than to trade a directional instrument. So I think there's a real core reason why certainly if you're interested in the volatility angle of it, that it'll be worth engaging in the product.
So is that what a lot of people trade? Taking a position on?
Yeah, absolutely. It is. And when you look at the educational content on Tasty, it's very much aimed at limited risk, trading small, but ultimately having a view on volatility and being quite strict with yourself in terms of what a potential move might be, what you think is going to happen, what you think the right implied volatility is. So yeah, they really kind of go to town on getting you to the next level of understanding how you can take advantage of a view on volatility. And there's complex and there's simple strategies. You can buy a call. You can buy a call. Your risk is limited. It's relatively simple to understand. If the market goes up, you'll make money. And again, there's kind of a simple directional element to that. But no, absolutely, what Tasty will specialize in, I think, is walking you through the different strategies, the kind of options you have, if you like, when you trade options. And
so looking at these strategies, obviously option strategies are quite complex. If you want to put on a volatility position, I'm going to have a play about with the platform this afternoon, so I'll explore it for myself. But any things that I should look at? So if I want to put on a position where I think the market is going to be a little bit more volatile over the next week or so, do I have to put the individual legs in myself? Do I have to look at the educational material, figure out the individual legs?
Yeah, I mean, definitely look at the educational content. Definitely, obviously form what your view is. But what they are specialists is really talking you through that, and they have lots of abilities to ask questions and to interact with them. And like I said, I think you can structure your portfolio in any way to take advantage and to position yourself to profit. Obviously, if your view on volatility is correct. So yeah, I mean, they're definitely the experts. Like I said, I've learned a lot from them over the last few years. But yeah, I mean, obviously, ultimately, if you think volatility is going to go higher from where it is now, if you think volatility is going to go up coming into the US election relative to expectations, and largely speaking, you're buying options. I mean, that's what options are. They give you an ability to take a view on volatility. But like I said, what Tasty specialize in, I think, has been a little bit more nuanced. So if volatility you think is going to go up, but it's not going to go up above a certain point, then you can profit even more from that. And probably more importantly, if you're looking to sell an option, if you're looking to sell volatility, the downside of that is your risk is unlimited. And Tasty, again, they wrap around strategies that limit your risk, but also allow you to take advantage of your view that volatility is going to be quite low going forward. So it can be almost as simple, as complicated as you want to make it. But what Tasty really is a door into the world of options trading, and the breadth and functionality it gives you. Speaking as someone who has dealt a lot with Delta One products over the years and dealt with very much volatility products, it definitely gives you a different amount of options. It definitely allows you to express your view probably in a more interesting way.
Okay. How sophisticated is it? Is there a strategy builder? So if I
There
say,
is, yeah.
this is going to happen, create a strategy around this.
Yeah, you definitely can. And like I said, there's the ability to kind of engage with really cool chat boxes and really cool chat shows and really cool kind of you know workers at Tasty. So you can kind of you can talk to them about your strategies and how to optimize it. You can listen to people who've got probably similar views. So there's a real good kind of community feel to it. So yeah, it needs you want to put a bit of time into it. It wouldn't be necessarily 5 minutes, but I think the more you put into it, the more you put out of it. And like I said, the feedback we've got so far from the offering has been really positive.
Okay. And do you trade options yourself?
Yeah, I do. I do. I probably do more of the Delta One stuff. So I probably do more of the directional stuff. But no, very often I do trade options. Like I said, I ran the options desk at IG a while ago. So yeah, I've definitely no stranger to trading options. But probably the majority of stuff I do is probably more on the Delta One directional stuff.
Okay. And Delta One, for those that don't know?
Yeah, Delta, sorry, jumping into the detail. But yeah, Delta One really is just when the instrument and derivative you're trading moves one for one with the underlying. So for example, if you trade a future, if you trade a traditional CFD or spread bet, or even if you buy kind of, the underlying stock, your profit, your loss will be directly related point by point for how the underlying market moves. And when you trade something that's not Delta One, there's more of a volatility element in play. So it brings a different element to your portfolio. But yeah, it works for some people, like I said, who've got more volatility views than directional views.
Okay. And do you have a favorite options trading strategy? I always quite like just buying deeply out of the money things and seeing what happens.
And seeing just and like it's more like the lottery ticket, I guess.
Exactly.
One in
Yeah.
100. One in
Very,
100 you win
very
big,
high
but you lose
risk.
quite small. I mean,
Yeah.
embarrassed to say, probably I'm probably not particularly sophisticated when it comes to options, given someone who's running options there. So I used to probably just do a little bit of buying and puts and buying the calls, maybe a little bit of counter trending. So buying puts when the market's quite high and volatility is quite low, so the premium's quite cheap. But like I said, what I've kind of learned since the Tasty acquisition and since bringing Tasty to the UK a few months ago is just the range of positions that you can bring up and how you can bring strategies into your trading. But no, me personally, I probably do actually keep it quite simple. I like my limited risk when I trade options, so I'll probably buy a call if I think the market's going up, or buy a put if I think the market's going down, and keep it quite simple. And that works for lots of people. Like I said, if you want an additional level of kind of complexity in your portfolio, then that's where Tasty come in with their educational part.
So let's just have a look at the potentially the top 3 uses of options. For people who have never come across them, but are fairly sophisticated investors, perhaps with a portfolio with some exposure to the market in currencies or indices. What would you say the top 3 actual uses of options are within the investing world, from hedging to volatility?
Yeah. So the short answer is
speculation?
interesting question. Not sure. I think the top 2 will probably be the covered call and then buying a put to hedge your overall portfolio. So just maybe to cover them one at a time. A covered call, again, really popular strategy in the US. And so far, from everything we can see, it's going to become an increasingly popular strategy in the UK, something that Tasty offer. And that's just
Great
where you're
strategy as well. If
it genuinely, it's again, it's all based on your view. We'll come on to that in a minute. But if you're long a stock and you think it's going to go to the moon tomorrow, then covered calls aren't for you. But if you've got a long-standing position on a company that you're just generally bullish on, then what lots of people do is sell premium on a call, and they just receive premium over the years as they constantly sell calls against their long position. So they're kind of covered on the downside. And the only kind of downside to a covered call strategy is if the market actually shoots up much more than you expect. So it's just kind of a way of supplementing your income with your kind of long equity portfolio. And like I said, it's all depending on your view of volatility. And if you're holding a stock maybe like Nvidia and you think it's going to go up 20% tomorrow, then there's no reason why you should be looking to sell a call against it. But very often, people obviously hold stocks for a long period of time. They're very bullish on the company. They think it's going to grow over a long period of time. And selling calls can be a good way of receiving regular income against that position. And again, very popular strategy in the US, and something that lots of our clients in the UK have started to do, and something that Tasty talk about in depth when you engage with their platform.
Great strategy if you can do it with a spread bet as well, because you don't have to pay the tax on the income from the
I mean, like I kind of touched on before, there's always going to be lots and lots of UK clients who want their trading to be tax efficient. That's completely understandable. I'm very much in the same boat, and the vast majority of traders that come to IG will prioritize tax efficient trading, and the vast majority of them, I think, will always be doing the spread bets when they come to IG, or doing the investments in their ISA when they come to IG. But like I said, there's also reasons why you might want to engage with the on exchange side of it. What Tasty are particularly good at is the capital efficiency. So you put on these strategies, you might be 2 legs, 3 legs, 4 legs, and then the capital that you've got to put aside to that is kept very minimal. And they've got very sophisticated portfolio management kind of systems in the background working to make sure that your capital, you get the most out of your capital as possible. So it's different horses for courses, and like I said, turn left if you prefer the tax efficiency, turn right if you prefer the extra functionality and the extra exposure to all the markets that the Tasty offering gives you. I mean, coming back to your question, I think another. Yeah, go on. Sorry.
Just one more question on the covered calls. If you're writing calls, do you have to have the stock lodged with you, or can you write naked?
Well, when you have a covered call, yes, the whole point of the strategy is that you have the stock, and then obviously that's where you get the margin offset. You have the long stock position and you have the short call position on the same account. And that's where you get the margin efficiency. That's why it's so great with the capital efficiency and the regular income that the covered call premium gives you. That's why it's so popular in the US and becoming increasingly popular in the UK. If your question is, do you need to be longer stock to sell a call on a market, then absolutely not. So you can go onto the Tasty account. You can sell a call on Tesla. You can sell a call on Nvidia. You don't have to hold a stock. But obviously, what you do need to know. You do need to know that obviously your risk on the upside is much higher. The margin will reflect that, and obviously, your risk appetite would also need to reflect that. So I think in general, the covered call strategy would be a lot more popular, but also a lot more measured from a risk perspective than selling a naked call. But no, absolutely, you can sell naked calls and sell naked puts on the Tasty account.
Excellent. So that's one. Let's go for the other two.
Well, the other one I've got in my head, I guess, is just buying puts to hedge your portfolio. And this is probably what I used options for the most myself. So you've got a portfolio either with IG, or it could be with somebody else, hopefully with IG. And that might be a leverage portfolio, it might be an investments portfolio, but ultimately you're long the market over a long period of time. We all know that markets trend up over a long period of time historically, and that once you keep your portfolio through various ups and downs, that you should receive a good kind of growth over the long term. And what lots of people do is that during periods where they believe volatility is high, or they believe volatility is going to be high, or they feel there's going to be a market correction, and rather than close out your entire portfolio, which can be quite expensive, it can be something you probably don't want to be going in and out of all the time. It can also be tax inefficient to potentially close these trades. You just buy a put, hold the put for a period of time, knowing that you have some downside cover if the markets were to sell off and they were to go a bit lower, but also knowing that the premium that you're paying is limited. Therefore, if the markets were to go significantly higher, you would still get that upside. But the cost of that position is obviously the premium you buy in the put. So I think the covered call and then the buying of the put to hedge in the portfolio is probably the two most popular strategies. I think if I was to pick one more, I think it would just be a complete volatility play. So either buying a call and buying a put on one side of it, or buying a call or selling a call and selling a put on the other side. So if you on the former one, when you buy a call and buy a put, you don't really mind which way the market moves, but you're going to be in profit if the market has a significant move, and you're going to lose money if the market doesn't do anything. And on the other side, if you sell the call and the put, then obviously you're taking what we call a short volatility position. So I think that's probably, certainly from my experience of the UK options trader, just having a pure view on volatility, whether it's buying a call and a put or selling a call and a put, is probably the most popular strategy behind the covered call and behind buying a put to hedge your portfolio. So that would be my attempt at the top three. Whether that's accurate or not, but that's certainly my experience of it.
That's a pretty good top three. That's a pretty good top three uses. So for anybody getting started in the UK, top three tips. Obviously, not tips, not advice, just a bit of guidance. We don't know about anybody's personal circumstances. What do you think people should be most mindful of when starting to trade options?
They should definitely be mindful of whether their trade is limited risk or unlimited risk. I mean, clearly that's really significant. That's really key. I would probably go a step further and say make sure your trades are limited risk. Make sure that you have a defined risk on all your trades. Tasty are really good at going really big and teaching their clients to trade really small. That's something that I've not always been great at in my trading past, but they really encourage you to trade small, trade often, learn as you go, obviously. But even when you get more expert, also trade more on the small side. And what you don't want, and what can be possible when you trade options, is that one big move can have a significant effect on your value of your portfolio. So trading small obviously limits the kind of downside risk when something does go wrong, or when something does go against what you expect. So I think, yeah, understand whether your risk is limited. I think trade small, ideally have a limited risk position. And of course, make sure you open an account with IG, and then you can get exposure to the two different types of options product we have. I'll probably also say, as an even easier way to access it, that stuff like Tasty on YouTube. If you Google Tasty options on YouTube, then I think you'll see pretty quickly what they're about and what options are about, and you'll actually work out pretty quickly whether it's for you. And there's absolutely lots of people who will not want to trade options. Like you said, it is a little bit more complicated than your traditional spread bet. It's definitely more complicated than a general investment account, or putting stocks and shares into an ISA. So it's absolutely not for everybody. But it does give that added dimension to trading if it is something that you want to put a bit of time into.
Okay, great. Do you think options trading will ever become as popular as spread betting or CFD trading in the UK?
I think I'm optimistic with what I see in terms of what our clients are telling us. I think I'm very optimistic in terms of what I see and the fact that IG now has, the best options platform in the UK, in my opinion. I don't think it will become as popular, no. I think spread betting is almost the established way of leverage trading in the UK, and there's cultural reasons behind that. Just like there's cultural reasons why why options are so big in the US, and that's not specific to the mechanics of the product. That's much more specific to, the evolution of regulatory environment in those two locations. So I don't think that's going to change anytime soon. And like I said, the vast majority of traders that come to IG, as well as coming to us for what we offer in terms of platform and range of markets, and they're really keen to put their trading within a tax efficient vehicle, and that's the spread bet, and that's not the option. So there's reasons to do both. And like I said, at IG, we're trying to, as much as we can, give all products to everybody. And like I said, if you want to trade listed options, we got the best listed options product here. But yeah, I think I'll always expect to see the majority of people coming to us for a spread bet, a tax-free spread bet, or just putting lots of different shares into their ISA on our investment account that we offer.
Great. Well, Matt, look, thank you very much for chatting to us. Really insightful. I'm going to enjoy having a trade later on.
Let us know what you think.
It's always nice to have an excuse to trade away. But no, thanks for joining us.
No, thanks for having me. It's been great. Thank you very much. And
actually,
good luck with your trading.
Yeah, well, thank you. If anybody out there, if you have been onto IG, if you have used TastyTrade, do come to the IG review, and we've got a TastyTrade review on the Good Money Guide as well. Come back there, tell us what you think. It really helps us and other people out when they're deciding where to trade. So Matt, thanks again.
Thank you.